The last thing I heard before the ambulance doors closed was the police officer speaking to my mother on my broken phone. "Your daughter has been injured. We're taking her to the hospital." Her answer came through clearly. "Call her sister. We're busy." My name is Ava Collins. I'm 33 years old and I live in Kansas City, Missouri. I spent that night alone, still believing my family had misunderstood how serious the crash was. Then a nurse showed me the photographs they had posted while doctors were examining me, my parents smiling beneath my sister Chloe's engagement banner. For 2 weeks, nobody gave me a straight explanation. Then Chloe's fiancé walked into my hospital room without flowers, closed the door behind him, and asked me one question about my car. Stay with me, because that question changed the crash from an accident into something my family had been trying to hide. The steering wheel jerked left so violently that both tires crossed the center line. I fought it back, hit the gravel shoulder, and heard metal tear beneath me. Then the car rolled into the ditch. I stayed conscious long enough to see the cracked windshield and smoke rising from the hood. My phone had shattered inside the console. When the officer found my emergency contacts, he called my mother first. I heard him say, "Your daughter is injured. An ambulance is taking her to the hospital." Rebecca did not ask which hospital. She only replied, "Call her sister. We're busy." Then the ambulance doors closed. At the hospital, I kept expecting my family to appear. Every time footsteps passed my room, I looked toward the door. Hours went by. No mother, no father, no Chloe, not even a message. A nurse named Denise helped me call my sister from the hospital phone. Chloe declined the call. Denise tried again. Declined. On the third attempt, the line disappeared so quickly that even Denise stopped pretending it was accidental. I told myself they must think the crash was minor. Maybe the officer had sounded calm. Maybe Rebecca believed I was being checked and released. That explanation lasted until Denise brought me a tablet the next morning. The first photograph showed my parents holding champagne. The second showed Chloe beside Ethan beneath a banner that read, "She said yes." The posts had gone online while doctors were checking me for internal bleeding. Rebecca finally called after noon. She said the officer had described a little fender bender. I asked why she already knew which hospital I was in. She paused. Then she told me not to make Chloe's engagement about myself. The responding officer visited later to finish his report. I asked exactly what he had told my mother. He did not hesitate. "I said you were injured, alone, and being transported by ambulance." Rebecca had understood everything. She simply chose not to come. That afternoon, expensive flowers arrived from Chloe. The card said only, "Hope you feel better soon." She still did not visit. Then the hospital call log showed me something worse. Chloe's phone had not been dead. She had personally declined all 3 calls. Chloe called that evening. She claimed her phone had died during the barbecue and said the flowers were the fastest way she could reach me. I did not mention the call log. I wanted to hear how far she would take the lie. She kept calling the crash bad timing. Not frightening, not serious. Bad timing. Then she added, "You understand why nobody could leave. Ethan had just proposed." That was how I learned the celebration mattered more than the ambulance. The next morning, Scott sent me a private message. "I'm sorry. I wanted to come." I asked why he had not. He read the message but did not answer. Wanting to help had cost him nothing. Leaving the party would have. A mechanic hired by the insurance company inspected the wreck. He said the steering damage did not look completely new. "Something may have happened before the crash," he explained. "A hard curb impact, maybe." That sentence brought back a memory. 4 days before the accident, Chloe had borrowed my car. She said she needed it for groceries because hers was being serviced. When she returned it, there was soil in the cargo area, and silver decoration tape stuck beneath the rear seat. I called Chloe and asked where she had driven. "Nowhere unusual," she said. "Just the grocery store." When I mentioned the soil, she became defensive. "You're injured and looking for someone to blame." I had not blamed her. Not yet. A neighbor from my apartment building visited that afternoon. She remembered seeing Chloe unload heavy wooden signs and metal frames from my car. They looked like party decorations, she said. One wheel sounded strange when she drove away. Chloe had lied about the trip. Rebecca called before I could contact the insurer. She asked whether the steering had pulled left and whether a warning light appeared first. Her questions were too specific. I had not told anyone those details. My mother knew something about the car. Then Rebecca mentioned wedding dates. She said helping Chloe plan would give me something positive to focus on during recovery. Nobody had asked whether I wanted to coordinate the wedding. They had already decided my skills belonged to them. 2 weeks after the crash, someone knocked on my hospital room door. Ethan Walker stepped inside alone. He did not bring flowers. He closed the door, looked at my cast, and asked quietly, "Did the steering wheel shake before you crashed?" Ethan sat beside my bed and asked whether the steering had vibrated before it pulled. I said yes. His face changed. "Chloe hit a curb in your car," he said. "Hard enough to shake the wheel." He explained that Chloe had used my car to transport engagement decorations. She called him after the impact, frightened about the damage. Ethan assumed she would tell me. She returned the keys without saying a word. I asked why he waited 2 weeks. Chloe had told him I caused the crash by texting while driving. She also claimed my family spent the entire night at the hospital. The photographs made that story impossible. My phone had been secured inside the console when I crashed. It was destroyed there. When I told Ethan, he looked sick. "I think she needed you blamed before anyone inspected the car," he said. Then he revealed what he overheard before the engagement barbecue. Chloe told Rebecca the steering felt wrong and a warning light had appeared. My mother answered, "Do not start family drama today. We'll deal with it Monday." I drove the car on Saturday. Monday never arrived for me. Rebecca had known the vehicle might be unsafe and protected Chloe's celebration anyway. The police call had not surprised her. It had threatened the story she was already hiding. I asked Ethan for exact dates, times, and words. I did not cry or call Chloe. He noticed. "You're not going to confront them?" "Not until the facts are somewhere they can't rewrite them." Before Ethan left, I contacted the insurance investigator. I reported Chloe's use of the car, the curb impact, the mechanic's findings, and Rebecca's knowledge. I accused no one of causing the crash. I simply refused to accept driver error. Rebecca and Chloe arrived together the next morning. Neither asked about my injuries first. Rebecca asked what I had told insurance. Chloe asked whether Ethan had visited. Their concern was not my recovery. It was whether their stories still matched. Then Rebecca placed a wedding planning folder on my hospital table. "You can help bring the family back together," she said. Inside were vendor lists, dates, and my name written beside coordinator. They had ignored my ambulance, but they still expected my labor. I closed the wedding folder and pushed it back. "I'm not planning anything." Rebecca's expression hardened. Chloe said I was being vindictive. Ethan stood near the window listening as they turned my hospital bed into another family meeting. Rebecca insisted the crash was still probably driver error. I asked why she knew about the warning light. She looked at Chloe. Chloe looked at Ethan. For the first time, none of them had a prepared answer. Ethan told them what he had told me, the curb impact, the vibration, the call Chloe made afterward. Chloe denied everything until he repeated the exact street where it happened. Then she stopped speaking. Rebecca tried to take control. She said Chloe had been frightened and that the family planned to repair the car after the engagement. "You let me drive it first," I said. My mother answered, "We didn't think anything serious would happen." That sentence changed Ethan's face. Chloe had told him nobody knew the car was unsafe. Now he understood Rebecca had known and stayed quiet. He removed the engagement ring from Chloe's finger and placed it on the table. Chloe began crying. She said postponing the announcement would have embarrassed her in front of everyone. I looked at the cast on my leg. You protected one afternoon, I said, and risked the rest of my life. Scott arrived after Rebecca called him. He admitted the officer had explained everything clearly. He had suggested leaving the barbecue. Rebecca said Chloe would never forgive them for ruining her engagement. So he stayed. I wanted to come, Scott said again. I shook my head. Wanting to help is not helping. He had chosen silence when action mattered. An apology could not rewrite the empty hospital room. The insurance investigator called while they were still there. The preliminary inspection showed damage consistent with an earlier curb impact. The final report would compare the wheel, suspension, and Chloe's timeline. Rebecca immediately asked me to change my statement. I refused. Then I removed myself from every wedding plan, vendor account, and family event calendar. Chloe stared at the closed folder. Rebecca stared at the insurance report. For once, their celebration would continue without my labor. Or my silence. The final insurance report confirmed the steering damage began before my crash. The wheel and suspension showed a severe curb impact several days earlier. Chloe's use of the car was now part of the official timeline. She was held responsible for failing to report the earlier damage. The insurer did not call it attempted harm. Neither did I. The truth was already serious enough. She knew something was wrong and returned the car anyway. Ethan postponed the wedding. He said the crash was not the only reason. Chloe had lied about the car, the hospital, and every call she declined. He no longer trusted the person behind the explanation. Rebecca blamed me for destroying the engagement. I reminded her I had posted nothing and contacted no relatives. I told the insurer what happened, I said. If the truth ruins something, I did not build it badly. Scott began visiting alone during my recovery. He brought groceries, drove me to therapy, and stopped defending his silence. I did not forgive him quickly. But for once, he was doing more than wishing he had acted differently. Chloe sent several apologies. Most included explanations about pressure, fear, and embarrassment. None mentioned the 3 hospital calls she rejected. I stopped answering messages that asked me to understand before she fully admitted what she had done. Rebecca still expected me to coordinate a smaller wedding later. She sent vendor dates and called it a chance to heal. I removed myself from every family event account. My work was no longer the price of being included. Months later, Rebecca invited me to an engagement dinner. She said we should start over. I declined. Starting over without accountability would only return me to the same family with a cleaner tablecloth. Instead, I hosted dinner at my apartment. Denise came from the hospital. My neighbor brought dessert. 2 friends helped during rehabilitation. Nobody asked me to organize the evening. They came because they cared whether I had survived it. The crash showed me who answered when my life broke apart. My family was busy protecting a celebration. Everyone else was busy protecting me, and from then on, I stopped confusing shared blood with the people who actually showed up.